Hello, I hope you're all doing well today. I wanted to post a video because I've been getting a lot of people reaching out and asking me a lot of questions related to health and wellness in response to some of the content that I have been posting. So I just wanted to put some information out there. You can take it as you will, or don't pay attention at all. Either way, but I wanted to go over what are, in my opinion, the worst pieces of health advice that you could be following right now as it pertains to nutrition. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I do and why. Okay. And so, why should you listen to me? I don't know. You don't have to listen to me. That's fine. But as long as you are getting your information, don't get your information from mainstream sources, okay? And that pertains to politics, that pertains to current events, it definitely pertains to health and wellness. Stop listening to the mainstream sources, okay? These entities are bought and paid for, they are pushing an agenda and do not have your best interests in mind, okay? So, mainstream news, if you've been getting all of your information from the 5 o'clock news, from government entities, from regulatory entities, stop listening to these people, okay? There are a ton of independent researchers out there right now and a ton of independent journalists out there right now who have alternative platforms and are putting out really, really great information right now. And if you're not listening to that, you're getting a completely different story. You're getting fake news if you're just listening to mainstream sources, okay? So these are in the form of podcasts, audiobooks, different YouTube channels, research articles, and there's, like I said, there are a lot of sources of information coming out right now. You just have to seek those out. Take in a body of varying stances, take in a variety of information, and then make an informed decision based on that collective. And then, most importantly, experiment with it in your own life. Actually try this stuff out. I absorb this information. I read a lot. I try to take all of this in, but I don't base my life just on something that I read or something that I saw on a video. I actually do it extensively in my own life before I recommend, anything to anyone else. So, I have a background. I have a master's degree in health and exercise science. I wouldn't say that's a reason to listen to me. Actually, quite the opposite. That would be a reason to have some skepticism, because that is mainstream academia. That is following a curriculum. That is in line with traditional modes of thinking. And so, did I learn some things like in that course of study? Sure. But I've learned exponentially more in recent years by conducting my own research. So that's what I would advise that you do. Okay, so I'll get into it. Let's start with the worst pieces of nutritional advice that I think are out there. And the first one is going to encompass a few things, but it's basically to be avoiding or restricting red meat, eggs, butter, dairy, salt. Okay, so original nutritional recommendations, the entire food pyramid was based on a lie. This is not conspiracy theory. This is now known fact. Back in the 1960s, some of the big sugar industries were getting a lot of flack, and there were a lot of questions being asked about some of the onset diseases and the correlation between those and processed sugars. And so, in an attempt to deflect some of that heat that they were getting, these big sugar companies paid a handful of researchers at Harvard University to publish results based on a bogus study and start attacking saturated fats to take some of the pressure off of sugar. This has now been fully corroborated. These individuals have came out. This is a known thing. Unfortunately, this is what the food pyramid was originally based around. Okay, so all those initial recommendations, that food pyramid that we grew up with, just thinking was the right information to follow, was all based on a lie. So let's go back to restricting or avoiding. So red meat. This should be at the top of your priority list, and here's why. Throughout human evolution, we have evolved. Our gastrointestinal tracts, our digestive systems have evolved to process red meat efficiently. So this is the most nutrient dense food source on the planet for a human, particularly if you are eating some nose to tail and supplementing some organ meat in there here and there. Okay, so the old allegations, the associations between red meat and heart disease, these have been disproven. There's no direct correlation there. The whole attack on saturated fats and the idea that they raise cholesterol and that's a bad thing. Cholesterol has a direct association with some of these diseases, heart disease, whatever, also has been disproven. Okay, so there's no direct correlation between red meat and heart disease, and really there are no other food sources out there outside of red meat that can provide all of the human essential amino acids and all of the human essential micronutrients. So like I said, it's the most powerful, it is the most nutrient dense food source that a human could be eating. So I prioritize eating it pretty much every day, if not almost every meal. And part of that is I have a lot of wild game meat, and I've had a lot of wild game meat for the past couple of years. So out of respect, I am eating that, and I know that it's completely organic. I'm the only one that has touched it. I'm the only one that's processed it. But even if you're not getting your protein from wild game meat, the next best option would be to find a farm or a ranch that sources really good, high quality grass-fed beef, and that's absolutely tremendous as well. You'll pay a little bit more on the front end if you get a chunk of a cow share, but ounce for ounce over the long haul, you're actually going to be paying a lesser cost per ounce for that, and it's going to be way more high quality than what you're buying in the grocery store. Okay, so red meat. If I were to say, only take one thing from this, if you only take one thing from this video, eat your red meat. Okay, you could literally only eat red meat, and not only will you be fine, you will likely be healthier than 99.9% of the population out there. Okay, you will be thriving just off of that red meat. We are built to digest that. We're built to be able to eat raw meat. That sounds gross to some people, but that's something that our stomachs can do. Our pH level in our digestive system is more comparable to that of a vulture or a jackal or other carnivores than it is any other vegetarian or omnivorous species. So we have a carnivorous digestive system. We're made to process this meat. And so actually overcooking that meat, cooking your steak well done, can be problematic because that introduces new toxicity and new chemicals that are actually carcinogenic. So I like to eat steak pretty rare, and that's not just because I think that tastes the best, but in part because I'm getting the most nutrition the closer that is to raw. Okay, overcooking it is not only killing off some of that nutrition, but it's introducing some problematic and toxic entities. Okay, so the next one is eggs. Um, these are nature's perfect multivitamin. Stop throwing away the yolks and only eating the whites. The yolks are the most nutrient dense part. Okay, you want to be going after pasture raised eggs. There's a lot of terminology out there: cage free, farm fresh. This is all marketing crap. Pasture raised means these chickens are out there actually eating bugs and grazing and getting real nutrition that in turn makes them a lot more nutritious than grain fed poultry. So, pasture raised, okay? Dairy. So there are there are a lot of misconceptions about dairy. There are a lot of people that are going to say, "Well, I have a lactose intolerance." Okay, if you can get your hands on some raw dairy, and by raw I mean unpasteurized dairy, so it doesn't go through that pasteurization process, which can actually kill off a lot of the good digestive enzymes that are in raw dairy. So you might be surprised, even if you have a lactose intolerance, you might be able to better process and really tolerate raw dairy um, better than you do regular pasteurized dairy. And so you can always find raw cheese in the grocery store. Raw milk, that varies kind of state by state. Each state has their own regulations on that, whether or not they can sell it in the grocery store. You can, however, get it from some of these farms and ranches that source it as well. So if you're not getting raw dairy, just make sure you're eating whole fat dairy. Don't get any of the reduced fat stuff. This just means they're taking out some of the good nutritional value that you actually need and replacing it with crap, more than likely sugars. Okay, so raw or whole fat dairy. Okay, another one was restricting salt, and then I'm going to throw butter in there if I didn't mention that already. Um, so most people walk around throughout the day sodium deficient. All right, everything that our body does, we need salt in order to do it. Okay, sodium and magnesium deficient, and when you introduce salt and you start getting a regular supply of it, you're going to feel a night and day difference. You're going to feel your energy levels increase, headaches are going to go away, your mental clarity is going to increase. You need salt. So I literally salt everything. I use a Celtic sea salt because of its sodium and magnesium content, and it's just not something that you should be avoiding at all. You should be doing the opposite of that. Okay, so terrible health advice. The butter. I cook everything in grass-fed butter or beef tallow. And basically, right now, you probably heard a lot about seed oils. Unfortunately, seed oils are in almost everything, and most restaurants are using them to cook because they're cheaper. So, what are seed oils? These are manufactured oils. These are synthetic compounds. You have a ton of them out there: cottonseed oil, grapeseed oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, margarine. These are all manufactured products that your body does not know how to digest. Okay, and will actually, so a lot of the chemicals and toxicity will stay in your system for a long time. They're finding out now that these are carcinogenic. They are causing cancer, they're causing Alzheimer's, they're causing the onset of all sorts of diseases. So the way that you can control that, at least when you are cooking for yourself at home, don't be using any of these seed oils. And then you might ask, well, I use avocado oil or coconut oil or an olive oil. That's a better option than the seed oils. And the avocado and the coconut oil are going to have higher flash points, so those are going to be better for cooking at medium to high temperature than an olive oil would be. Olive oil, when you heat it, same thing as overcooking a steak. It introduces a lot of chemicals and toxicity when you do that. So Nutritional value wise, butter and animal products are going to be your best bet. That's why I cook with those products. Okay, and so that's all the bad advice as it pertains to what to avoid, what to restrict. I would heavily encourage you to do the opposite as it pertains to all of those things. Um, Conversely, the recommendation to eat a ton of grains and vegetables, I'm also going to argue is terrible advice. Okay, so 6 to 11 servings of grains per day. This is terrible advice. Okay, so vegetables and grains, I'm not saying all of them are inherently bad, but these are typically the part of the plant that don't want to be eaten. They are laden with defense chemicals naturally that your body has issues digesting. If you're eating a ton of grains or a ton of vegetables, you could be absolutely obliterating your entire gut and your gut health. Okay, it can wreak havoc on your digestive system. So those are things that really you should be looking to limit or restrict. Again, not all vegetables, not all grains are inherently bad, but you don't want to be eating a ton of those, in my opinion. And honestly, if you are eating enough red meat, there is no essential nutrient in vegetables that you are missing out on or not already getting. Okay, so if you wanted to not eat any grains or vegetables, I think you'd be perfectly fine from a essential nutrition standpoint. Obviously, some people like some variety in there, so just watch how much of that stuff you eat. Okay, so vegetables, grains, we pretty much went through like the whole food pyramid, and you see that you can, to an extent, kind of flip it on its head a little bit. So we've just been kind of misled this entire time, which is unfortunate. So, like I said, do your own research, do what works for you. You can play with this a little bit. You can add different things. You can subtract different things and see what works for you. And so people ask, they're like, well, if you're not eating many grains, are you just eating low carb or no carb? Quite the contrary, actually. I get most of my carbs from fruits, and I eat a lot of fruits. That is the part of the plant that wants to be eaten. Best bang for your buck is going to be blueberries from an antioxidant perspective, cognitive function, and other berries as well. Avocado, let's not forget that's a fruit, so a lot of good dietary fiber and fats in an avocado, and then other tropical fruits as well. You just want to make sure that you are washing these, even if they're organic, when you bring them home. And the best way to do that is to soak them for like 15 minutes in water and baking soda. But I eat a ton of fruit, and I supplement that fruit with raw honey and some pure maple syrup. These are sugars that your body can quickly and efficiently process. Honey has so many benefits. It is a superfood in itself, and can really be used as medicinal. And so I eat a lot of raw honey. I eat a lot of that maple syrup, which is also high in antioxidants. Don't buy any of that sugar-free crap, sugar-free syrup. All of that is garbage. Okay, it's all crap marketing. So this is what I do. When I'm home and during the week, this is typically like how I cook and what I eat. Obviously, here and there I splurge sometimes, or I still like to go eat a pizza and wash it down with a couple beers. But that's in moderation, and you need to do and figure out what works for you. But definitely recommend seeking out some of the information that's out there, not from mainstream sources. Look at some of this research, try some of these things in your own life, and then make your own opinion based on this collective of information. Don't just take my word for it. Actually try this stuff in your own life. And by all means, if you have questions, if you want to talk about any of this stuff, feel free to give me a call or DM me. I'm happy to talk about all this stuff. I want to see people thriving. Okay, we live in a system, and these narratives that are pushed are, you know, are basically just coating the pockets of the owners of these major conglomerates. And you know, a sick population makes money. Sick people make money. Being completely healthy individual and a savage, that doesn't make money. It doesn't make money for big insurance, for big pharma. It just doesn't. So you have to take your health into your own hands. And when you can mentally make that switch, that food is fuel, and you want to be giving yourself the best fuel possible, that's when everything can change. You know, my Harley, it can run on regular unleaded. I know for a fact when it has regular unleaded in the tank, it does not run as efficiently as it does when it's running on premium. That's just a fact. That's how the body works. It can get by on garbage, but it'll operate much, much better when you optimize your nutrition. And you're going to feel a difference in your sleep. You're going to feel a difference in your hormones. You're going to feel a difference in your energy levels, your digestive system, your gut health. Everything can change when you start to play with it and really figure out what works for you. So definitely encourage you to go out and try some of this stuff out, and let me know how it goes. Cheers.